Welcome to the ACS Daily News. Heavy winds and rain are expected later this afternoon and evening as Tropical Storm Isaias makes its way up the east coast. To find out more, we spoke with WARA meteorologist Jim Corbin.
There's kind of a lovely peace before the storm, a little bit of sun. This is Jim Corbin, meteorologist here in Attleboro. It was a case of been a while weather. Tropical Storm Irene, almost 9 years ago to the date, on a Sunday morning brought us 70-mile-an-hour winds and some minor devastation. Trees, power lines came down. That was 9 years ago. Here we are today, this week, and it's Tropical Storm Isaias. Yes, Isaias, the I storm, the 9th of the season, and this one affecting the greater Attleboro area. This one coming in a little weaker, but still the devastation could be around the area. Not a lot of rain expected, though, with this one. We're looking at mostly bursts of wind very late in the day on Tuesday into Tuesday evening, winds gusting to 50 miles an hour. Now, the problem we have, not a lot of rain, so we're not going to be dealing with a lot of flooding around the area, certainly. The rain could come down briefly heavy, and you might get a big puddle, and the puddle goes away after a minute or so. But what you have to deal with, tree-lined streets. Places like West Street. Here we are in West Street. You can see some of these power lines that go through these big old trees. What happens? Branches, wires, that's not a good combination. And because the leaves are still on the trees in the hurricane season, it takes less wind to knock down these branches and sometimes the trees. So what happens is they fall on a wire and you might get some power outages. That could be the case late Tuesday afternoon, Tuesday evening. The whole thing, though, ends by midnight. In fact, by midnight on Tuesday into Wednesday, the full moon will be shining once again. So as the Katy Perry song, after the storm, there's a rainbow. So this time it'll be more like a moonbow out there. But of immediate concern, if you have bins, recycling bins, like around this area, you can see a few here right behind me. Today is the day. Once they get emptied later in the day, which is when the storm begins to move in, they get lighter and they start blowing down the street. So if you don't take your recycling bin in late this afternoon, you may wonder, where is it? It might be several houses up the street. So again, anything you have in your backyard, again, I emphasize, this is not a hurricane. It's a moderate-sized tropical storm with gusts of wind for about 3 hours, off and on to 40 and 50 miles an hour. It's like fighting a punch drunk kind of a thing. A fighter gets knocked. Eventually, the trees, they say, I've had it, and I have to fall down. And if they fall down on a wire, that's not a good thing. The other portion, of course, is if you have things like chairs in your backyard, blowing around, plastic, they're light, they might be somewhere in the other part of your yard. So again, the storm's not a big one, but it's something we have not seen close to in 9 years. And again, it's nice and warm out, and the rest of the week, after today, this storm cleans house. We're going to have some pretty beautiful weather right into the weekend. Now that we know that there will be some power outages, we don't know exactly where, but if you live on a tree-lined street, you have the best chance of getting one. You might want to make sure you charge up your batteries, anything, your phone, anything that needs a charge. Maybe turn on the air conditioner a little extra, because we're still going to be in the 70s tonight. So if you don't have the air conditioning running and you're someone who doesn't like it warm at night, maybe crank that AC a little cooler than you normally would. That'll help you out. Isaias actually originated off Africa, came all the way westward across the Caribbean, across the Atlantic, and what these storms do, they pick up tropical insects and birds. And after some of these storms go by, after Hurricane Bob, I remember in 1991, huge insects. Where do they come from? They came from the tropics. So on Wednesday, you have a shot at seeing exotic birds and insects flying around. Just an added feature. There could be some isolated tornadoes when you have a lot of spin in the atmosphere, so keep an eye to that. This is all in and out very quickly, late Tuesday afternoon and Tuesday evening. We can learn from this what happens in this storm, Isaias, because the hurricane season is really just beginning. We have 2 or 3 more months to go to watch the tropics.